Hello and welcome to another episode of Anti-Agency Stories, stories of doing business differently. I am excited about our guest today. I've worked with him over the past couple of years. I'd like to welcome Ben Magnuson from Hive Growth Partners. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, it's great to be here. Looking forward to chatting.
Awesome. Well, let's just get started. Tell the folks a little bit about yourself, your history, and what that led you to what you're doing right now.
For sure. Yeah. So background, science nerd all through kind of high school, university, did a bachelor's degree in biology. Transitioned there, didn't know much about business, did a master of management at UBC, always lived in British Columbia here. And then, I got on with a digital marketing agency from there, built out kind of like a business development, sales-based skill set. And then, recently transitioned to launching Hive Growth Partners at the start of 2022. So we're about 6 months in right now. And it's a performance-based business development model. We help companies, agencies, all different types of companies that are B2B specifically, find ways to generate leads and then help them facilitate in closing those leads.
Gotcha. So you've recently taken the leap from kind of like traditional job, 9 to 5 or working for somebody else to kind of start Hive. So what I'm really curious about in terms of kicking off the conversation is what made you decide to take that leap?
It's a good question. I don't really think it was like one thing necessarily. My wife and I were moving to Boston, so that was kind of an opportunity to say, okay, I can use this, we're down here for 5 months. I can use this to build out a remote model, kind of take that leap, see how it goes. And if after 5 months, the risk, didn't really pay off, then maybe come back to BC, assess my network, see what companies I want to work for, and then jump into something. Thankfully, it's been a successful start here. And so far so good. So we're rolling with Hive and things are going well there.
Okay. So it sounds like maybe it was driven a little bit more about, kind of wanting to travel a little bit when you were kind of, with me, I always felt like, in my situation is much more longer. Like I always felt like I wanted to do my own thing for many, many years, but just, the stars didn't align until, 4 or 5 years ago. So, have you always felt like you were kind of wired to kind of be your own boss, do your own thing? Or was it like, hey, this, let's give this a shot? Like, I'm just kind of curious about, how wired you felt you were as an entrepreneur, or is it more just driven by other life things that you wanted to do that align more closely to kind of being your own boss?
For sure. Yeah. I think there is always there's always been this lingering feeling of like, I would like to endeavor down the path of trying my own thing and see how it goes. So, I've got a phone list of notes with like 5 to 10 business ideas, and oftentimes wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm like, that's an idea. I need to write that down. And that's kind of my focus period. But, so there's always that lingering feeling. And then this was kind of a business, that whenever I have an idea, I'll usually run it past like 5 or 10 people I trust, kind of get their take on it. There's always mixed reviews and I love critical feedback. And this was one that had kind of just sat with me longer. Usually I'll have an idea and then 2 to 3 weeks later, I'll kind of be like, I just don't think that's the one. This one sat with me for a little bit longer. I'm passionate about taking the risk away from clients and doing purpose-driven work. And so that's kind of why I chose to jump into this model specifically. I think, I don't necessarily consider myself an entrepreneur, but I guess this makes me one. So I'm excited to kind of be on this journey. And I think if I was, 40 years old in a set career, looking back 15 years later, I probably would have regretted not trying my own thing at this age. The timing worked out with, like I said, the move to Boston and all the other things that we have going on in our life right now.
How long had you been thinking or planning to take this jump, or was it kind of was it a long runway, or was it a relatively short runway? Like when you took the leap, were you kind of starting from ground zero, or had you put some things in motion while you were currently still employed to kind of create a little bit of momentum that you're jumping into?
Yeah. So I was senior business development, director of business development at a marketing agency based in Vancouver for 4.5 years. 2.5 into that, I launched kind of the Kelowna branch, which is where I live. So launched kind of a satellite office there. in that transition, I also launched a YouTube channel. And so that was kind of my first taste of doing my own thing and trying to monetize a YouTube channel, grow it on social media. And it's in the world of golf. So that was kind of a fun side weekend hobby that I've been able to kind of grow on the side. And so that was that initial taste. And then having those ideas, they definitely started while I was still at agency media. I was kind of executing or thinking about these ideas, running them past people. I kind of had a feeling that I would be making a transition. I had, a few different past colleagues and companies approach me about doing business development and sales for them. And then that's kind of where I started to think, okay, these would be opportunities where maybe it wouldn't make sense for me to necessarily be a direct partner in their business and working for that one company, but I could do what I'm doing now for multiple companies and then have a very tight team, a very tight list of clients that we work with very closely. And that was kind of that nudge that I needed to have, okay, if I was to make this transition, I would have, clients right away that are excited to work with us. So
Yeah.
it was, I would say it was like a 6 month runway there. And then, and then made the transition at the start of this year.
Gotcha. Awesome. So you talk a little bit about performance marketing and kind of taking that approach to things. I know some people that are listening probably might know what that is, but just to kind of help position the rest of the conversation, kind of share a little bit about what makes that, what's different about that versus traditional agencies. What's the benefit to clients, and what does that look like to them versus like a traditional kind of agency relationship?
Yeah, for sure. So as a company, we don't necessarily do digital marketing or advertising. That's not our core areas. So our focus is, direct business to business connections, networking, and sales. And so that's outbound emails, LinkedIn, cold calling. Those are kind of the three core areas where we're able to generate results. And then the whole model is based around, like you said, performance based. So it's essentially commission. What we do is we have a base retainer to engage with us. And then our primary source of income comes down to lead introduction fees with qualified leads, as well as commission once those leads close for like the first 6 months to a year of that new client being brought on board. The reason we do that is it takes risk away from our clients. It allows us to say no to more clients and work with companies we really feel a strong relationship with and feel that they're purpose driven. And yeah, so, it's kind of like the way I'll often explain it is this could be a terrible metaphor, but is you've got a realtor, they're finding a buyer and a seller, and we're, essentially B2B business brokers looking to find a service provider and somebody who has a specific need. And our job is to kind of connect those two. So it's, there's a lot of consulting involved. We're not doing a direct sale where it's like, okay, here's this company targeting this client. In many cases, that is the situation. But if we find that a conversation we're having with a client who has a need will be better suited to a different supplier, then we will kind of facilitate that introduction accordingly.
Got it. How have you found in terms of business development for yourself, has taking that approach, do you feel like it's increased your close rate in terms of kind of lowering the barrier, I guess, to clients making a decision to work with you? Have you found that they find it easier, I guess, to say yes to you and taking that on? Do you find that it's been a little bit more successful in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for me, the biggest challenge in that area has just been how do I build out like an effective pricing structure? Right now, everything is strictly just customized based on the client versus doing like tiered packages. But yeah, I mean, it really is a situation where it's like a company, why would they not work with us? And it's tough to really find that answer because we're taking on all of the risk. If we work for 3 months and don't close any deals for them, maybe they're out a couple $100 or a couple $1,000. It's, a drop in the bucket for most businesses. And so, yeah, I think, it makes it very easy for companies to want to work with us. And it just puts us in a position where we're saying no more often than yes to just ensure we keep that client list very, very niche.
Gotcha. Do you find that there's particular industries that are more fruitful for you for this sort of business model?
I would say we're a little bit too early to kind of identify that. Right now, we've
Hmm.
found a lot of success working with marketing agencies because that's our background. So we have, marketing partners on board where we're basically, directly promoting them to our network and the target audiences they want to be working with. Obviously,
Hmm.
within that, if you're targeting different groups, different geographic areas within Canada and the US, there's challenges associated with that when you're looking at direct sales and networking. But yeah, I think I've got a background in biology, like I said at the start, and I'm passionate about sustainability, and so I think that is an industry that I want to start to break into a little bit more. We do have
Hmm.
partners in the realm of like video and different things like that that want to work in that space, so it's a good opportunity for us to build our network there as well.
When you think about when you started kind of doing your own thing, did you know that you always wanted it to be kind of a performance marketing model versus a traditional one?
I did know that before starting because
Hmm.
I'm a firm believer that like I really feel that employees and personnel should be bought into the company that they're working for, and
Hmm.
why not have that in a B2B relationship as well? And so it just gives us I mean, not only does it help with business development on our side to find the right types of clients, but also it just gives us a lot of passion for the work that we do and the companies that we are working for.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges that come with doing business in that way that you've experienced so far?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty unique model. I've come across one company that has a relatively similar model, but they charge out on retainers for lead bookings. They don't do performance based. And the
Hmm.
biggest challenge is, basically we're saying, hey, if you're an engineering firm targeting government across Canada, or if you're a marketing agency targeting small restaurants in, villages and small cities across Canada, we can learn your business to the point where we will sell it, as effectively, if
Hmm.
not more effectively, than your internal team. And there's challenges that come with that where there needs to be a lot of research. We need to be embedded into that company and learn how to sell it effectively. And sometimes it takes a little bit of trial and error there. What types of emails? Because every audience is different. If you're talking with engineers versus restaurant owners, you're probably not going to be using the same lingo or the same scripting or the same email templates, right? And so for us, it's
Hmm.
it's really a lot of like experimentation those first, call it those first 3 to 5 weeks, where we're figuring out and trying to kind of find that secret sauce for that individual client.
Got it. True or false for you? Because I've had some experience working with outfits like yourself in the past,
Yeah.
with middling results. I think everybody is a little bit different in terms of whether they're good at the thing. Um, so true or false? It sounds like you would work with marketing agencies or agencies, people that are looking to obviously drive leads. Niching down into a specific industry is much more likely to net you successful results with a performance marketing agency like yourself.
Mhm. I would say true.
Hmm.
The challenge with that is we don't want to be in a position where we're you know working for direct competitors. So there are
Hmm.
overlaps. Obviously, if we're working with five different marketing companies that are specified in
Sure.
niche, socialistics, you guys do social media.
Hmm.
If there's maybe overlapping budgets or different social media companies that come in for like more of a small business, whereas your team is more of the corporate world enterprise.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah.
it's a matter of finding those specific niches and filling in gaps. So if we have a full network of partners, some of those are clients, some of those are just partners. How can we niche it to the point where we're having sales based consulting calls, and then we've got a network of partners that can be allocated to that versus having a bunch of random ones where one conversation is only applicable to one partner. It's just not going to be as effective.
Got it. So you've been at this now for 6 months,
Six
12 months?
months.
How long have you been?
Yeah,
6 months.
yeah.
Okay.
January
So
on
it's
that.
still okay. So still relatively new. Anything that you've learned, like if you look back over the course of those 6 months or even before your pre-launch, is there anything that you regret or you wish you had done differently?
Yeah, I think like obviously I'm learning a ton throughout this process. I think I probably would have the biggest thing I would have done differently is probably just assessed and talked to a few more mentors and business people around like the pricing structure, because there's been a lot of fluctuation in that for clients, which is never ideal. You want to kind of
Hmm.
find something and stick to it. So I think just figuring that out, and it's still an evolving process where
Yeah.
that's probably where I feel the most lost right now. And then, yeah, I think, if anything, probably even, if you look 3, 4 months ago, saying no to like one or two more clients, and just keeping it very, very kind of tight and niche to start, finding like, expedited success with the clients that we do have on board, and then look to kind of scale out. We may have put the cart before the horse in some ways.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. What I'm just curious, kind of asking this of agency owners, really of any business, obviously, and you're in Canada now, so obviously, I would still imagine you probably are impacted by things that happen in the U.S., assuming that you probably have some U.S. clients. I know that as an agency, the current landscape of the world and the economy has definitely made things difficult over the past couple months. I think at first I was kind of getting into my freak out mode, like, what's going on? Why aren't we getting as many leads? Like, why is it taking longer for people to make decisions? And then when I started to see some chatter from other agency owners, I'm like, oh, everybody's kind of experiencing this. It's one of those outside forces that are just kind of, it's the ebbs and flows of owning an agency. I'm just curious, has the state of the world or what's going on in the US impacted, you think, what you're doing in terms of the number of opportunities that have come your way? Have you had to kind of really deal with any sort of struggles, I guess, as it pertains to those sorts of things as a newer business?
For sure. Yeah, I think like our, as far as Hive clients go and our business development direct to
Hmm.
client, I would say it hasn't left much of an impact there. Where it has left an impact is obviously the client and partner sourcing that we're doing for our customers, so their end customer.
Hmm.
When you
Yeah.
look at the B2B world, and a lot of people are making decisions, you're taking that kind of extra step to kind of make that final decision. They're a little bit more cautious right now, just with the unpredictability of the markets and things like that. So
Hmm.
I think that
Yeah.
obviously plays a role in effectiveness of sales, and when we're helping businesses find new clients, that definitely is, has to be taken into consideration, and just takes a little bit more patience, I think.
Sure. So when you think of your business, where do you kind of want to take this? Like, where do you want to be 6 months, 12 months, long term? What does that look like to you right now?
Yeah, so I think like there's kind of two avenues. The first one is to keep it, and this is what I will be prioritizing, is to keep it as a very niche consulting agency where we are helping companies find direct clients, and do very effective partnership and related sourcing. And that's a model where you've got 3 to 5 employees, people who are very business savvy. They've got great acumen, and can kind of help support businesses of all shapes and sizes in different industries. And then we have a tight core group of clients where you call it anywhere from 10 to 20 clients. Don't really want to extend much beyond that if you've got 5 employees. And then from there, you've got a vast partner network of whether it's kickback or referral partners or whatever that looks like. Call it 200 of those, and that's kind of the core model. And then
Hmm.
there could be, so that in and of itself is not really scalable. You're working for every deal, you're working for every introduction. Where the scalability happens is finding ways to do more automated lead generation. And then you have like a retainer based lead generation service that would be kind of a secondary division to our core division, with the direct client stuff. So those are kind of the two avenues, one being a little bit more consulting based and the other being just, lead generation.
Okay. And last thing before we kind of wrap things up, since taking this leap, um, is there anything that stands out in terms of something that has surprised you, or what's your favorite thing about what you're currently doing now, or what you're doing right now allows you to be or live?
Yeah, so I think the best part is obviously, you've got the flexibility, but you can find jobs. I work from home. You can find jobs that work from home and give you that flexibility. So that in and of itself isn't
Mhm.
enough to like justify launching your own business. I think for me it is just the model, because it's performance based, allows us to be selective. So I'm fortunate to consider each one of our clients a friend now. We're very specific with who we're able to work with, because we're kind of in the power seat there. We have that choice, and that's, because we're kind of working for free. It's performance based. So if we're,
Right.
if we've got a lineup of companies that want to work with us, it gives us the opportunity to pick and choose which industries and which clients we feel we can be most successful with. And I think that's obviously a good position to be in.
Awesome. Anything I didn't ask you that you feel you want to add to the conversation that might be helpful?
No, I think, yeah, that was great. Those were all great questions. I think, taking the leap is always a challenge, but I would say it's one of the better decisions I've made in my life. So if you're listening
Great.
to this and you're kind of, curious and unsure if you should take that leap or try that, probably go have a few conversations with your friends, run the ideas you have by them, assuming they're not going to steal them, and take the leap. I think you'll probably thank yourself later. And if it doesn't work out, there's always, other opportunities that are going to pop up that you can have. So that's kind of
Sure.
my one thing, where if I was, telling my 6 month old self, I would be like, good job, Ben. It was a worthwhile decision.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Awesome. Where can people learn more about you and Hive?
Yeah. So website, hivegrowthpartners.com. I'm a big fan of LinkedIn, so definitely shoot me a connection. Ben Magnuson on LinkedIn. And shoot me a note, and happy to have, every conversation is a good conversation, right? So happy to connect.
Yeah. Love it. Ben, thanks so much for being on the show and carving out some time today to kind of talk about your journey.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me. And we'll talk soon.
Awesome. And for those of you listening, thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Check out the Anti-Agency book, which touches on a lot of the things that we talked about today. Make sure you check out Ben and Hive in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next episode.